Ever wonder what it takes to build a coffin? No, it's not morbid. It's a craft. And today, we're diving into it. Welcome to the world of unexpected skills, where we explore the lesser-known, often overlooked, and sometimes unusual crafts that have been passed down through generations. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on the artistry, precision, and historical significance of coffin making. This ancient trade steeped in tradition combines woodworking, design, and a touch of history. It isn't just about creating a final resting place. It's about respect, remembrance, and honoring the journey of life. It's a skill that requires patience, precision, and a deep understanding of craftsmanship. While it might not be the first thing that pops into your mind when you think of DIY projects, it's a skill set that is as fascinating as it is unexpected. So, buckle up and get ready to learn something unique, something unexpected, something you never thought you'd want to know. Before we begin, gather your tools. We're going to need some timber, screws, glue, and a bit of patience. To kick off this project, you'll need to select the right type of timber. We recommend hardwood, such as oak or mahogany, for its durability and aesthetic appeal. If you're on a budget, pine or poplar are excellent alternatives. You'll need about 6 planks, each 8 feet long and 2 feet wide, for a standard adult-size coffin. Now let's talk about the thickness of your timber. Ideally, you want something between 1.5 to 2 inches thick. This ensures that your coffin will be sturdy enough to hold weight, but not so heavy that it becomes difficult to transport. Moving on to screws, you'll need around 100 of them. 2.5-inch wood screws should do the trick. They'll provide the necessary grip and stability. Don't forget the wood glue. A high-quality, water-resistant wood glue is essential for reinforcing the joints of your coffin. This extra step will add strength and longevity to your creation. Now let's discuss the tools. A circular saw or a table saw would be ideal for cutting your timber. A power drill will come in handy when it's time to fasten the pieces together. You'll also need a measuring tape, a pencil for marking, and a square for ensuring perfect angles. A claw hammer and a set of screwdrivers will be beneficial during assembly. And of course, some sandpaper for smoothing out the edges and surfaces. If you want to add a personal touch, consider getting some paint or wood stain. Last but not least, put on your safety gear. Goggles, ear protection, and a dust mask are non-negotiables when working with wood. Got all that? Good. Let's move on to the next step. Now that we have everything, it's time to cut the timber. Remember, measure twice, cut once. When it comes to woodworking, precision is the key. The first step is to measure the length, width, and depth of each piece of our coffin. Using a tape measure and a pencil, mark the exact dimensions on the timber. It's crucial to be as accurate as possible, as even a slight miscalculation can affect the overall fit and finish of our coffin. Once the measurements are marked, it's time to cut. There are several ways to cut timber, but for this project, we'll be using a circular saw. This tool is perfect for making straight, clean cuts through thick pieces of wood. Before we start, let's ensure that the saw blade is sharp. A dull blade can make the job harder and result in uneven cuts. Now, align the saw with the markings on the timber. Make sure to keep your hands away from the blade at all times. Start the saw and guide it smoothly along the marked line. Take your time and don't rush the process. The goal is to make a clean, straight cut. Once the cut is made, it's always a good idea to sand the edges. This removes any rough spots and makes the wood safer to handle. For this, we'll use a sanding block with medium grit sandpaper. Apply even pressure and move the block back and forth along the edge until it's smooth. If you find any imperfections or if the measurements are slightly off, don't panic. Small errors can be corrected with a bit of sanding or a quick trim with the saw. Remember, woodworking is a craft that requires patience and practice. Follow these steps for each piece of timber. By the end of this process, we should have all the pieces cut and ready for the next stage of our project. And there we have it. The timber is cut and ready for assembly. Now comes the fun part. It's time to put everything together. After all the careful measuring and precise cutting, it's finally time to assemble our coffin. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, except this one is a bit more substantial. Let's start with the base. Align the cut base piece onto a flat, stable surface. This will be the backbone of our coffin. We need to ensure it's perfectly level, as this will affect the overall structure and stability. Remember, accuracy at this stage is key. Next, let's attach the sides. This is where our coffin really starts to take shape. Align each side piece with the base, ensuring the edges meet perfectly. It's essential that the sides are perfectly perpendicular to the base. A right-angle tool could be your best friend here. Now, the head and foot of the coffin. These pieces are slightly different from the rest, given their angular cut. Align them with the corresponding ends of the base and sides. Make sure to check and double-check your alignment. Any misalignment here could lead to structural issues later on. Once you have all pieces aligned, it's time to secure them together. There are a few ways to do this, but a good, sturdy wood glue and wood screws will do the trick. Apply a generous amount of wood glue along the edges where the pieces meet, then secure with screws. The glue provides a strong bond, while the screws offer additional support and durability. Be mindful of the screw length though, we don't want them poking through the other side. For this task, a power drill with a screwdriver bit will make your life a lot easier. But remember, safety first. Always ensure you're using the right protective gear when working with power tools. Now let's move on to the lid. The lid is the final piece of the puzzle. It's essentially a larger version of the base, cut in the same hexagonal shape. Align it with the top edges of the assembled body, apply glue, and secure with screws just like we did before. At this point you might be thinking, that's it? Well, not quite. Before we call it a day, we need to double-check our work. Go over every joint, every screw. Ensure that everything is tightly secured and there are no gaps. A well-assembled coffin should have no wobble, no loose parts. It should be sturdy and stable, ready to stand the test of time. This isn't just about building a box, it's about crafting something with care, with attention to detail. It's about ensuring structural integrity and stability. This is where your craftsmanship really shines through. With all pieces firmly in place, our coffin is starting to take shape. It's more than just wood and screws now. It's a testament to your skill, your patience, your dedication. And with that, we're ready to move on to the finishing touches. Get ready to see your work come to life. We're almost there. Now it's time for the finishing touches. Our journey into the art of coffin craftsmanship is nearing its end. But every good craftsman knows that a job isn't finished until the finishing touches are complete. This is the stage where we add the final layers of polish and detail that transform our project from a simple wooden box into a dignified and respectful resting place. Let's start with sanding. Now, sanding isn't just about making the coffin smooth. It's about preparing the wood for the finish, ensuring that the surface is even and ready to accept the final layer. Remember to always sand along the grain of the wood, not against it. Start with a coarse sandpaper, around 80 grit, and work your way up to a finer grain, around 220 grit. This step-by-step process will give your coffin a smooth and professional appearance. Next, we move on to applying the finish. This step is crucial in protecting the wood and enhancing its natural beauty. There are several types of finish you can use, from oils and waxes to varnishes and paints. The choice is yours, and it depends on the look you're going for. Just remember to apply the finish in thin, even layers, allowing each layer to dry fully before adding the next. This will prevent any runs or drips and will give your coffin a high-quality finish. Once the finish is applied and dried, it's time to install the handles. The handles are more than just functional. They add a touch of elegance to the coffin. Choose handles that complement the style and finish of your coffin and position them carefully for a balanced look. When attaching the handles, ensure they are firmly secured. After all, they will be carrying a precious cargo. Now, an optional but recommended step is lining the coffin. Lining the coffin not only makes it more comfortable, but it also adds an additional level of refinement. You can choose from a range of materials such as satin, velvet, or cotton. The lining can be glued or stapled into place, depending on the material you choose. This step, while not necessary, can add a personal touch to your project and make it truly unique. So take your time during this stage of the process. The finishing touches are what set a professional coffin apart from a do-it-yourself one. They're the details that show the love, care, and respect that went into crafting this final resting place. In the world of carpentry, there's an old saying that goes, "The difference between something good and something great is attention to detail." This couldn't be more true when it comes to building a coffin. So take the time to perfect those finishing touches. Your work is a tribute to a life lived, and it deserves nothing less than your best. And with that, our coffin is complete. Take a step back and admire your work. You've just built a coffin. Yes, you've heard it right. You've crafted something that's not only unique, but also a testament to your skill and craftsmanship. Now let's take a moment to recap the journey we've been on together. First, we discussed the unexpected skill set required for this project. It's not just about woodworking, it's about precision, patience, and attention to detail. Then we gathered our materials, took precise measurements, and cut the timber. Remember how important it was to get those angles just right? That was the foundation of our work, the base on which everything else was built. Next came the assembly. We joined the pieces, making sure each one fit perfectly. We saw how small adjustments could make a big difference in the final product. And through it all, we learned that even in something as somber as a coffin, there is room for creativity and personal touch. After the assembly, we added the finishing touches. We sanded, we polished, we made sure every inch of the coffin was smooth and perfect. This was the time for finesse, for making sure our coffin was not just functional, but also beautiful. And now here we are, with a finished coffin that you've built with your own two hands. It's been a journey, hasn't it? A journey of learning, of crafting, and of taking pride in your work, no matter how unusual the project. So, take another look at your finished product. Appreciate the work you've put into it. Remember the skills you've learned, the challenges you've overcome. This is what it means to be a craftsman. To take raw materials and transform them into something meaningful. And remember, this is just one project. Who knows what you'll build next? Whatever it is, bring the same attention to detail, the same passion, the same pride. Because that's what craftsmanship is all about. It's not every day you learn to build a coffin, is it? So, there you have it. A step-by-step guide to building a coffin. We've journeyed together from the initial concept, gathering the right materials and measurements, through the meticulous process of cutting the timber, assembling the coffin, and applying the finishing touches, all the way to the final, tangible product. It's been quite an adventure, hasn't it? This might not be your everyday DIY project, but it's a testament to the incredible things we can create with our own two hands when we put our minds to it. Building a coffin is not just about crafting a final resting place. It's about learning, growing, and expanding our skill set. It's about embracing the unexpected and the satisfaction that comes from creating something truly unique from scratch. Remember, every cut, every measurement, every nail driven was a step in a process that has not only resulted in a beautifully crafted coffin, but also in personal growth and a new set of skills. The knowledge and experience gained from this project are invaluable. They are skills that can be honed, refined, and applied to a myriad of other projects. We hope that this video has not only given you a detailed guide on how to build a coffin, but also inspired you to continue learning, to continue pushing your boundaries, and to continue exploring the endless possibilities that come with being a DIY enthusiast. We want to thank you for joining us on this journey. Your support, your curiosity, and your love for learning and creating are what make this community so special. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more unique skills, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your subscription helps us continue to bring you more projects, more guides, and more opportunities to learn and create. Stay curious, stay crafty, and we'll see you in the next video.